KSFY News starts now with a severe weather alert.
Good evening, I'm Vanessa Gomez.
Thank you for being with us. Right. We begin tonight with that severe weather alert. Things were a little bit dicey with some tornado warnings earlier tonight. We're still under a flood watch.
Senior meteorologist Phil Schreck has been tracking the storm all evening, and that's the latest expected. Phil, things have
They really have. I mean, we still have a few counties under a flood watch, a couple of counties under flash flood warnings because of the heavy rain that we had earlier. Still raining in some spots, but I wanted to show you all the severe weather reports we've had this evening, whether it be from large hail or strong wind, or even reports of funnels or isolated tornadoes. Again, basically confined to central portions of South Dakota. Unfortunately, you know, in the Burke area too, we had tornado warnings in southwestern Gregory County there for a while. Now, here's what's left of the rainfall. Just some light rainfall for the most part here in the southeast, but unfortunately, still some heavier rainfall in south central South Dakota. The severe storms have pushed southward into Nebraska there, and they'll continue to move on away. But we do have a couple of flash flood warnings to tell you about. This first one here for portions of Gregory County, including Burke and Gregory and Dallas, until 10:45 this evening. And then just to the west of there, portions of Tripp County under a flash flood warning as well until 3:15 tomorrow morning. And then here's that area that's still under a flood watch for the possibility of some heavy rain later on this evening into tomorrow morning. They've really shaved away a lot of this. A lot of our viewing area was covered with this flash flood watch earlier, but that's really shrinking up too. So conditions are getting better, and we're heading into a pretty decent weekend. We'll tell you all about that coming up just a bit later on.
Thank you very much, Phil.
Okay.
Now, by the time it's all said and done, 2019 will have some pretty historical and unforgettable moments for South Dakota, but a lot of them were tougher than others.
The weather has reached some historical milestones this year, leading to flooding, April blizzards, tornadoes, you name it.
Now, FEMA staff has been slowly helping assess and alleviate the burden, and this week they reached a significant milestone in accomplishing that.
Toughness appears to be a mandatory requirement in South Dakota because you will face some challenges one way or another. Areas across South Dakota have suffered from some type of natural disaster this year, and that could not be more prevalent for Gregory County. County Chairman Myron Johnson has lived in Gregory County his whole life. He's been a county commissioner for the past 5 years. He jokingly admitted he had a whole lot on his plate this year, though.
Yeah, it makes you think a little bit. You know, this is our 5th disaster. We've declared 4 disasters already in our county since March. You know, so it seems like it doesn't stop.
The latest of these tests came in the form of strong straight-line winds that tore through Burke Tuesday night, destroying the community center and even tearing up the high school. County leaders have been approved for the first 2 relief applications, but are waiting on the next few and will likely have to file another. Some of the first individual applications FEMA staff received were flood-related. FEMA staff say they are still trying to help South Dakotans affected by these more than 5 months ago.
There were 13 counties designated for individual assistance in this disaster, and you know, some are small, some are impoverished. You know, they're just impacted people in different ways.
There is currently no time limit for how long FEMA staff will be in South Dakota or how long it will take to provide relief for those who need it. The Salisbury has noticed the various communities that are finding a way to make it through during her time here.
You know, this disaster impacted folks in different ways, but there is one thing that unites a lot of folks that I've seen is this sense of resiliency and optimism that despite what happened, they're going to be okay.
The deadline to apply for individual assistance was Tuesday, but FEMA staff say their work to help out South Dakotans goes well beyond that.
Turning to this story, new tonight, one driver is facing charges after a crash that happened on I-29. Take a look at this. It happened near Beersford this afternoon. Traffic was at a standstill when crews were painting lane lines. The driver of the van did not see traffic had stopped and rear-ended a pickup truck. The truck then spun toward a ditch and hit a motorcycle. Fortunately, the driver of the van and truck received minor injuries. They were taken to a Sioux Falls hospital, and the motorcycle rider was not injured. The interstate was shut down for about 40 minutes while crews cleaned up. Charges are pending against the van driver. Staff at the Iowa State Fair has increased security after 2 deadly mass shootings last weekend. Des Moines police say there are more officers in uniforms and plain clothes on the grounds. 100 more security cameras have been installed as well. Security has also been increased because of how many presidential candidates are there. We checked with the South Dakota State Fair staff to find out if extra security is being considered. The assistant manager says in light of the recent events, it's important to discuss safety measures with security and other key personnel.
Presidential candidates are setting their sights on Iowa and its famous state fair as a way to connect with voters and hopefully sway them to their campaigns. After hosting Montana Governor Steve Bullock and former Vice President Joe Biden yesterday, another 5 candidates stepped up today, and Ksfy's Brian Allen was there and has our continuing coverage.
It is great to be with y'all in Des Moines at the Iowa State Fair.
Former HUD Secretary Julian Castro was first up, telling voters as president he would address illegal immigration and health care reform, while taking steps to make sure all Americans make what he calls a livable wage.
The House of Representatives passed legislation to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. The Senate of the United States needs to pass that as well, and the president should sign it.
Castro says he would also make education a priority, implying other nations are leaving the United States behind.
For the first time in our nation's history, we're competing and collaborating with countries around the world that are producing tons and tons of young people that are intelligent, they're hungry, they're ambitious, they're creative, they're innovative.
Next, businessman Andrew Yang, who stopped fairgoers in their tracks by wielding a massive turkey leg. Yang says he's prepared to boost the economy by giving American citizens more money, $1,000 a month, paid for by new taxes on big tech companies.
But $1,000 a month dividend, a citizen's dividend, has been with the country since our founding. Thomas Paine was for it, called it the citizen's dividend.
Yang says as president he would protect jobs in danger of being replaced by technology while expanding the economy and putting more people to work.
So this is why I'm running for president. I spent the last 7 years helping create thousands of jobs around the country.
So in about 6 months, you have a very important choice to make.
Former Maryland Congressman John Delaney says if he ends up in 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, he would put people to work and improve America by making an investment in infrastructure.
I want to rebuild our country. I've called for the biggest infrastructure program since the creation of the federal highway system. Because infrastructure creates jobs, it improves the standard of living, and it makes our businesses more competitive.
But we have a real problem on our hands, ladies and gentlemen, and that is that our politics is not currently aligned with our deep goodness.
Author and political activist Marianne Williamson told this Iowa State Fair crowd that America must invest in health care reform, especially for children with pre-existing conditions, but that any change will only happen if the nation gets away from being so politically polarized.
There are times in our history when the political status quo is not making it happen, and it's time for the people to step in.
But we've got to make sure that no one is turned away when they are sick and in need of care.
Hawaii Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard also talked about health care and taking steps to reduce climate change. She also says she would take steps at the federal level to reform the criminal justice system, specifically citing the long prison sentences some are serving for marijuana possession.
I've introduced the only bipartisan bill in Congress that would finally end the federal marijuana prohibition.
Another 14 presidential contenders will be at the Iowa State Fair this coming weekend. 9 of them will be here tomorrow, including Senators Cory Booker, Kamala Harris, Amy Klobuchar, and Elizabeth Warren. Reporting from the Iowa State Fair with photojournalist Troy Timmerman, I'm Brian Allen, KSFY News.
And a reminder, Brian will continue his series of reports tomorrow night on KSFY News at 6 and 10.
Well, it was a pretty perfect day for Fridays on the Plaza. Surf and Safari entertained Courthouse Square with a variety of hits. Many of you took a seat, enjoyed the food, along with the music and company. We'll have another Fridays on the Plaza next week with music from Kalia Jordan Apple. Just head on over to the 12th Street Plaza from 11:30 a.m. to 2 o'clock next Friday.
Well, some people are using an unusual item as lawn decor in Northeast South Dakota.
Why, a toilet has been jumping lawns in the community of Aberdeen. That story in about 10 minutes. Phil?
Well, thankfully things are winding down after a very active afternoon and evening weather-wise across the area. Weekend is shaping up pretty nicely. We'll tell you more about it coming up after the break.
Thank you, Phil. And there's nothing better than a brand new pair of shoes ahead of the school year, and we need your help to make sure every child has some new kicks. So we're collecting new shoes for the Samaritan's Feet Shoe Drive. Drop off a pair of new shoes at any American Bank and Trust location or Stride Rite in Sioux Falls.
KSFY News is sponsored by Blind. KSFY News is sponsored by Schulte Subaru.
Safe Harbor is a nonprofit organization in Northeast South Dakota that helps victims of domestic and sexual assault. Safe Harbor board members started a unique campaign to raise money for the organization.
Unique might be an understatement. It's being called the Potty with a Purpose campaign. Ksfy News reporter Ryan Martin has the story.
Safe Harbor started a unique fundraising campaign called Potty with a Purpose.
It involves a purple potty touring the community of Aberdeen, and purple was selected because it's a symbol for domestic violence.
The idea is to raise money for the organization's endowment fund.
When somebody gets it on their lawn, they're asked to go to pottywithapurpose.com to ask for removal services. And our goal right now is to raise enough money so that we can have those funds matched by the South Dakota Community Foundation.
There are 3 ways to donate.
If you want to get in on the action and either suggest a friend or get insurance so it doesn't land on your lawn, you can go to that same URL and ask for those things as well.
Stacy McCurdy donated after one of her co-workers wanted to continue their long-time prank battle.
Stacy has always been one to kind of dish it out, so I found a great opportunity to kind of give it back for once, and felt good to do it for a good cause.
This organization and this particular campaign means so much to her for various reasons.
Well, this is just a fun way to donate and for such a good cause. That facility is there for our victims of all ages, both male and female.
Safe Harbor will continue this campaign until the end of the month. This is something they plan to continue doing long into the future.
Ultimately, what we want to use those funds for are to expand the services that Safe Harbor provides for its victims of domestic violence and sexual assault. And so they really just better serve those victims.
In Aberdeen, Ryan Martin, KSFY News.
The campaign has already raised more than $1,000 and it will continue until the end of August.
Well, how would you like to get paid to eat bacon?
Oh yes, I would. Well, a restaurant looking for its next bacon tester. The requirements and how much you'll get paid after the break.
Health lives here.
KSFY News updates available on these local radio stations.
Amazon is looking for clearance from the FAA to fly. The FAA published a petition from the online retailer yesterday. Amazon's requested approval to operate its drone-to-fly packages to customers in 30 minutes or less. But the FAA has not given the unmanned aircraft its certificate of airworthiness.
Amazon also wants to be exempt from drone-specific rules, like the one requiring drones to only be operated when an operator can see it. The company says its drones initially will only fly during the day, no more than 15 nautical miles round trip, and with packages weighing 5 pounds or less. The FAA is taking public comments on the petition for most of the month. Pizza Hut is expecting to close as many as 500 of its dine-in restaurants in the next 2 years. The chain will instead focus on delivery and takeout. Pizza Hut is owned by Yum Brands, currently operates nearly 7,500 restaurants across the U.S.
Now, some people aren't happy about the closings, including Chrissy Teigen. The model tweeted, "I love them. I long live Hut." Pizza Hut responded on Twitter saying, "Love you too. We're not going anywhere. When's pizza night?" And a California burger chain is offering a way for you to bring home the bacon while eating it. Farm Boy says it will be willing to pay someone $1,000 to spend a day testing its bacon. The company posed this ad for a so-called Bacon Intern on its Instagram page this week.
The post lays out the job saying, quote, "1 day, $1,000 pay, eat bacon." The company says anyone wanting the position should post a video or photo to Instagram that explains why they should be the bacon intern. Farmer Boys says it will announce a winner on August 27th. The Vikings kicking off the preseason in New Orleans tonight. Thor?
It's a good time of year. Football is beginning again officially. It's been, I guess, been going a few weeks with training camp, but tonight preseason gets going for the Vikes. So the highlights also, Renner met Edina, Minnesota in the Central Plains Region Tournament today. We'll tell you if they're moving on next in sports.
Get your savings